All right, GSC between sets with Kari Pearce, take 3. So, Kari, you are a 5 times CrossFit Games athlete, finished top 10 over the last 4 years. You were the fittest American woman in 2016, 18, and 19, and a 4-time Division I Big Ten champion for gymnastics, University of Michigan. I noticed that your degree from Michigan is in kinesiology. So what about kinesiology made you want to do that? Was it just because you're an athlete, so you felt obligated?
Yeah. So actually, when I entered college, I had no idea what I wanted to study. I thought I wanted to become a sport medicine doctor. So I was just kind of in the general studies. I was thinking a biology major. And one of my friends in college, one of the guy gymnasts, was a movement science major. And I was talking to him one day because I was like, that sounds interesting. And I like the human body and learning how it moves and works. And he's like, that's basically what my degree is. Whereas like biology, it goes a lot deeper into like human body and cells and everything. And that wasn't as interesting. And I was like, this kinesiology movement science thing sounds very interesting. So after talking to him, I decided that that's what I wanted to do. So I applied for School of Kinesiology, then got accepted and decided that I wanted to do movement science. Just like I said, I've always been interested in the human body, how it moves, how it works, the muscles, the joints, somewhat at a cellular level, but more just kind of human performance. And I noticed movement science, that was basically what you studied when you did movement science. So that's what made me decide to go that route.
Do you find that background in movement science, does that help you as an athlete?
I definitely think so, especially like when I get injured and like the doctors are explaining what's going on. And I'm like, okay, I actually understand and I can understand kind of how to fix it. Whereas if I had no idea with like anatomy and physiology, then I think I would be a lot more lost. I mean, and even just like human performance as well. Like I learned a lot about just the way the body moves and works. And especially being at such a high level, I definitely think it's advantageous to have studied movement science.
Yeah, it's interesting. I noticed personally anyway that you just kind of knowing where the muscles are and what the muscles do and where they originate and insert and those types of things, you kind of know why joints move the way they move, right? And I think it's beneficial. So it's interesting to hear you say that too. So you moved to New York after college. Why did you move to New York? Why was that the place to go?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So everyone's like, Ann Arbor to New York, that's an interesting change. And I mean, I was born and raised in Ann Arbor. I went to school there. I loved it. But after college, I felt like I wasn't reaching my potential. And I was a gymnast for many, many years. So that was always like something that kept me engaged and going. And then after I finished school, I was no longer doing gymnastics and I did some personal training. I did some interning. And I was just like comfortable and I wanted to kind of get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I was dating a guy at the time that was a fitness model. And they told him he had to move to New York. So one of my best friends moved to San Francisco. My boyfriend at the time moved to New York. So I had to decide like, I really want to get out of Ann Arbor. So I was like, okay, these are the 2 places. And New York was a little bit closer. So that's why I decided New York. So about a year before I had visited a friend who lived on Long Island. And we went to New York City and I was just like, I don't know how anybody lives here. It's so crazy. There's people everywhere. You wait in long lines for what I would wait in Ann Arbor for like nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, it's just mass chaos and there's just people on people. And then about a year later, like I said, I ended up moving there. So I was one of the crazy people, but I mean, it was a great decision and it definitely made me uncomfortable, which like I said, is exactly what I wanted because I sold my car to move there. I basically didn't really have much money. I put almost all my money toward the first couple months of rent. So I had to like find a job and hustle and bustle, but I don't regret the decision. And I think it helped me to grow to be who I am today.
What was your first job in New York?
Personal trainer.
Oh, okay.
So I was walking around and the first 3 weeks I was there, I was just trying to figure out the city because it was way different from Michigan, like the trade system and everything. You're just trying to figure that out, figure out, I don't know how the whole city works and everything. Cause it's a change of pace. You're not driving, you're walking and, like I said, taking the subways and Ubers and stuff. Well, taxis at that time. I don't even know if Ubers existed. So you're trying to just like figure that out. And I was like walking around, like there's so many different options for gyms, but you're like, I don't know which one's gonna be the best. So I just kind of like walking around. Then there was one that was really close to us and it looked beautiful from the outside. So I remember one day just like going inside being like, well, I was a personal trainer for 6 months in Michigan. Like, do you guys have any openings? And so I met the manager that day. He made me take him through a workout. It was like, it moved so quickly, just like anything in New York. So yeah, I was just a personal trainer, but then you didn't make money for floor hours or anything. So you had to get clients in order to make money. So like I said, hustle and bustle.
Yeah. Was this like a traditional style gym, or was it more of like a strength conditioning gym?
That's a good question. It was a traditional style gym, more like a Globo gym. It was called New York Health and Racket Club. And they had, I can't remember the exact number, I think like 7 or 8 locations around the city.
Very cool.
Awesome. So then just recently you decided that you wanted out of New York and moved to Las Vegas. So that's a little bit of a change. Again, talk about from Michigan to New York, then New York to Las Vegas. I don't know if big cities get much different, right? So how's that going so far? How's that summer heat treating you?
Well, the heat is definitely something special. It's something I've never experienced before. And everyone's like, just wait. You moved at the worst time possible for the heat. And I was like, well, good things. If it got any worse than this, like it's been like over 100 every day. Like the other day I was running on the track, it was 104 degrees. I was like, I don't know if I ever experienced anything. I was like, this will make me fitter though. And when the games, hopefully when they happen in California, I was like, that'll be nothing compared to this heat. But so far I love it. I've been here almost just over 3 weeks, I guess. And I just moved into a house and I had a small apartment in New York, and it's nice, like having some space, in a yard and a little backyard. Sure. Yeah. And a garage gym, and the gym here is huge, compared to gyms in New York, and everybody is super friendly. And I'm just excited to explore and stuff as well, because there's just a lot of nature things to do around, which was not the case in New York. So I'm really happy. Like I said, it's been 3 weeks, so it hasn't been a super long time, but I'm adjusting well. And it's nice, like the West Coast too, because I feel like when I get up in the morning, like part of the work, because the East Coast has already been going for like 3 hours. So I'm like, I feel like I'm like ready to go. And then I'm able to like wind down easier at night. So I'm like, at 8 p.m., I'm like, I feel like I should be in bed, because a lot of people that I know in Michigan and New York are already in bed because it's like 11 o'clock there. So it gives me like some extra free time at night. So I like that aspect of things too.
Yeah, it's interesting. Cool. You'll wake up and have text messages and stuff from people that have been up for an hour or so.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's kind of nice though, because you like wake up every morning and you like just like get it done, because you're like everyone's already up and been going.
Yeah.
So it's really nice.
So if anybody does a Google search for Kari, you'll find out some interesting things. And if you do the Google images, it's just Ab City. Everywhere you look, there's just these abs hanging out there. So is that why you decided to start Powerapps? Because you figure if anybody looks you up on Google Images, they see these killer abs anyway, so you might as well spread the love.
That was it. One day I was like, I should just Google my name, and then abs galore popped up, and I was like, why haven't I thought of this already?
Yeah.
No, so it actually stems. So I work with 2 other people, just kind of like on the business side of things. And we kind of started doing some like gymnastic CrossFit newsletters and videos and everything. And the lady that I work with, she was like, your abs. And her husband was like, your abs. Like they're amazing. How do we get abs like that? I bet people all over I was like, I've always gotten complimented on my abs. Doing gymnastics many, many years, I've always had, I have pictures from when I was like 5 and 6 years old and I had abs. I was like, it's just something that like I've always had, and I attribute to all of the crazy gymnastic core work. If you see any gymnasts, they have super strong cores and they have great abs. And it's just like, for me, it's something different for people to do too, that like want to work the abs, because you go to the gym, you see the same people doing like the same things, and not getting the results that they want. And I thought I would take it upon myself to create. It's just 10 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So it's nothing crazy. It's just, intense though. And people say it's more fun than the traditional ab training, which I think is key to sticking to any workout program. Now there's been a lot of before and afters from other people, and not people just seeing my abs, but seeing other people actually like go through the program and seeing great results, and just having stronger cores, less lower back pain, better performance in CrossFit, running, you name it. So it's been really cool, like not just seeing the changes and everything, but hearing the changes that people have made through the program too.
Yeah.
And so not to go like too far back to the other direction, but like in college, before like a practice for gymnastics, how much core would you guys do to kind of like get things going, like almost like as your warm up, like on a daily basis?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, in our warm-ups, it would always be like a 10-minute core circuit. And then in the actual training, then we would have another separate strength like conditioning portion that would have more core stuff. So you'd probably do another 10 minutes of core. And then sometimes like going to your certain events, like remember bars, we always started with like some handstand stuff, some core stuff. There's just a lot of different core things in the warm-up and then in the middle of training and then in the separate events. There's just, and then all of the movements that you're doing too, like in your routines have core stuff. So yeah, I mean, you spend a lot of time, like he was saying, like just to get everything warmed up and get your core firing so that it is tight during everything that you do. Was 10 minutes guaranteed at least 5 days a week.
Awesome. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, see, I would have never thought that it was part of the warm up because it's in all the movements, it's in everything that you do in gymnastics. So it's like I just figured probably just that like the core work is built in, right? But knowing they're doing extra also, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it was a lot, but I mean, it obviously paid off, and then it continues to pay off, which is really cool.
Yeah. Do you eat breakfast? And if you did, what'd you eat for breakfast today?
Yeah, I love breakfast. It's basically the same thing every morning. I have 2 whole eggs, 3 egg whites. Then it depends on the veggies, but sometimes it's peppers or spinach, asparagus. Just kind of depends on what I have and what I want. And sometimes I'll throw salsa on my eggs. And then I always have oatmeal with just some cinnamon, and then a big glass of water and a cup of coffee.
So you
perfect breakfast right there.
Oh, sounds
right.
Good. I like
every morning. I get so excited. Yeah, because a lot of people don't have veggies with their breakfast, and I think it's one thing. Like whenever I have my eggs now, like I feel like I have to have veggies. It's just like something I've gotten accustomed to.
Do you do like a scramble with it all, or do you have it kind of separate? Do you have your veggies separate from your egg, or do you kind of mix it all up?
Usually I mix it all up. Every once in a while, I'm too lazy. I'm like hungry in the morning, so I'm like, I'll just cut up some pepper and have it on the side. And so yeah, it just depends.
So you make coffee at home?
Yes, I do.
How do you brew your coffee? You use a coffee pod, or do you do a French press? What do you do?
I do a French press. Now I have a French press, and I have like a water filter that does hot water for me. So that's usually the first. Yeah, that's usually the first thing that I do. So then, like, kind of while it's sitting there for a minute, then I can like get my eggs started and everything. And then I'm like, okay, I need a glass of water. Yeah. And then I get my coffee. So it's like I have a big old breakfast going on, but it's perfect.
So what?
And Night Train is my favorite coffee.
Oh, you like the Night Train, the dark roast?
Yeah, the Night Train. You know, PR Blend is our best seller, but the Night Train every day it's just creeping up to that popularity level of the PR Blend. Night Train is just we're coming to see as time goes on. It's just people really, really enjoy that Night Train.
The Night Train.
Yeah. Yeah.
The night train comes.
The Night Train's coming. It's catching up to that PR Blend. I mean, the PR Blend, like the name though, just gets you because you're like, PR. Yeah, let's get it.
Who doesn't want that?
And so you know what's really funny? The first time that I actually had the PR Blend was before one of the open workouts with snatches. And it was like a snatch ladder, and it went up to 185, and my max at the time was 190. And my coach was like, that looked really good. Let's go for it. And so I hit I PR'd my snatch the first time that I used it. I'm like, I better PR
there you
everything.
Go.
And then, right. The next time I did not PR though, but I was like, the first time I ever had it, like I PR'd my snatch. I was like, this is amazing.
Awesome.
They're not kidding about this.
you thought you were going to PR every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah, right. No, I was like, I was like, first time's a charm.
You can just get life PRs, you know. Drink the coffee and you just get life PRs, you know. Yeah. You know, I'm just going to be this much better today.
Well,
there you go. I like that.
Yeah. And they say also, you know how to PR every day, right? You just do something you've never done before.
There you go. Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, PR everything.
Yeah, exactly. What are you doing today? You got anything? What's on your schedule for today?
Yeah. So, this morning I went to go see a doctor. I am getting better from a wrist injury. So I just have to make sure that I'm taking care of that. Like I just moved to Las Vegas. So I just started working with a new doctor. My doctor in New York actually recommended a guy out here. So his name is
That makes it easy.
Yeah. And that was like one of the biggest things is like being an athlete, I need to take care of my body.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't always have severe injuries, but sometimes there's just like little aches and pains. And, you know, to be at the top of your game, you have to make sure that your body's recovering and feeling good.
Absolutely.
So that was one thing when I was like debating the move. I mean, I was pretty sold on it, but I was like, I'm going to miss my doctor. And then when we sat down and talked, he's like, okay, let me look up some doctors out there. And he's like, oh, I know this guy. Like he's an ART instructor and he's really good. He worked with a lot of the pro athletes out there. So I was like, okay, perfect. And it was my second visit with him this morning. So got that. And then I came home and got in some Concept 2 biker intervals. I have a little garage gym set up here, which is really nice. So I was able just to get it in. And then actually my coach came over and him and his wife got in a little workout too, which was nice.
Cool.
And then now I have this. And then after I'm going swimming, it's probably going to be another 100-degree day outside. And the community that I live in has a lap pool, which is super nice.
You got all squared away.
I did. I was like, I'm going to move. I'm going to do it right. I'm going to get some space. I'm going to get a good community. And one of the guys that my coach actually coaches as well, Brian Elrod, lives in the same neighborhood. So he's like a mile away, which is really cool. So yeah, they have a lap pool, and then they also have like a lounge pool, which is just beautiful. And then there's like a gym there's like a golf course and stuff. So there's a lot going on, but I was like, I'm just excited for the lap pool to be able to swim, especially in the heat. So yeah, I'm going to go get in a swim. And then after that, I have a live Powerapps class on my Facebook. I do those on Thursdays and Sundays. So just Powerapps with people. I actually started that during quarantine when, you know, everyone's stuck at home and they're unmotivated. Everyone's like, I'm stuck at home, but I'm not motivated. So I started doing the lives and people really like those. So I have a live Powerapps. And then because I recently moved to my house, I have someone coming to turn on the gas today between 4 and 6. Yeah. So I was like, today's kind of just like, like different things, but all different and good, productive things. So yeah, I need gas because I've been taking cold showers. I mean, which is nice in like right now because it's still hot outside. I was like, it actually feels really good.
Just got to push your shower time to like the hot point of the day.
Yeah,
that's it.
Just readjust your shower schedule.
Yeah, right. Like I can't take a shower yet. Like I just finished my work. Give me a little bit of time. You just step outside for 30 seconds and you get hot though.
Ready to go. Yeah.
And like even today when I was doing my bike sprints in the garage, like sweat would drip on the ground. I'm like 30 seconds later, it's gone. Like,
gone, dried up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because that dry heat in Las Vegas too. There's no humidity.
Weird,
which is
odd heat.
Yeah, it is because you like don't sweat as much, but then your mouth and your throat just get like so dry.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very strange. With your wrist injury, so what are you guys kind of doing on that? Are you doing like any kind of UV treatment? Are you doing like massage? Like what kind of things are you guys doing on your wrist? Yeah,
so he does active release. So it's been a lot because like my joint just got jammed when I did a snatch. So he's like, when I was maxing out a snatch. And basically he's like, a lot of people get this injury when they're in a car accident and their hands on the steering wheel and then all of a sudden they hit it and then it goes like that. Yeah. So like that extreme extension, which is exactly what happened in a snatch. And he's like, so everything is just like super tight in there. So he like pulls it out and twists it and then does like a lot of like movement stuff just to like, kind of loosen up that joint. And then he said there's like a little cyst that's like starting to form too. So we did Grafton on that. So yeah, he put like some CBD cream and then put his Grafton on that to just kind of like get that fluid kind of like moving around a little bit. So, and then just kind of like slowly working like some range of motion things. So that's pretty much it for the wrist right now.
Doesn't sound real pleasant.
It's not. And he's like, it's going to hurt. And I know it. And I'm sorry, but I promise it'll be worth it. And like I said, I had snatched 145. Like I was like slowly working back up. So it's been like 6 weeks. And so I've been like, my weightlifting coach is like slowly having me working up. And then I did like a 200-pound clean on Saturday. I saw the doctor Tuesday. And then I was able to go to a 175 snatch on Tuesday and then a 220 clean yesterday. So I was like, it's definitely like even just from like one visit. Yeah, it was definitely better. So seeing him today's rest on the wrist. And then we'll kind of play around with it a little bit tomorrow because he does want me to like push it and see how it reacts. At the beginning, it was kind of like, okay, you need to rest it, like let it get well. And then now is where you can kind of push it, see how it reacts, and then we can go from there.
So living in Las Vegas, you have a car again.
I do. It's actually pretty nice.
Was it kind of weird at first?
It was. Well, and just because everyone's like, oh, the heat. I'm like, well, I mean, at least here, like, you just like throw your car on and then air conditioning gets working pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But it is like, I do miss walking everywhere because I love walking.
Yeah.
And usually like at the end of New York, like in Corona and stuff, like I was not walking very much. Like I would drive a little bit here and there, but I was like, I miss walking. So I would just go on random walks. I'm like, it's too hot outside right now to go on random walks. I was like, I feel like such a wuss here. But it is like,
oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And no, I was just going to, oh God.
That's like the best benefit of living there, right? Is this the close quarter walking capabilities? That's like 90% of the positive stuff coming out of like the big city living. I always liked walking around in like the midtown of Sacramento around here. It's just like, you don't want to drive anywhere. You want to walk and be outside. It's just part of it. That's probably like, it was like a totally different kind of switch.
Yeah. Because everything in New York is like so close. You're like, I'm just going to walk. I don't have to worry about traffic. But luckily, like Vegas traffic is almost non-existent as well. I've sat maybe like in 3 weeks, like a total of like 20 minutes in traffic because of like car accidents or people looking at car accidents. So that's really nice because it is minimal. But I do like, sometimes I feel like if I don't walk as much, I was like, this makes me sound old, but I feel like my hips get like tight. And so I'm like, I need to just get up and like walk around a little bit, especially if you're used to like walking and then all of a sudden you're sitting a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how people have a desk job. Me even just sitting in a car for like 15, 20 minutes at a time gets my hips tight.
I had to get a standing desk because I was teaching. So I taught PE for 8 years and then started doing this. And so I went from being on my feet almost all day to then working on the computer almost all day. And I realized pretty quick, like, man, I've been sitting more than I ever have, and it's like, yeah, I could feel it in my hips.
It's crazy how like fast your body like reacts to it.
So you have that car now. So here's the question is, we're going to go somewhere. We go get in right now. What's playing in your car? What's the last thing you're listening to when you're driving? Listen to music, listen to podcasts, audio. What's going on?
In my car, I actually usually listen to music. If I go for walks, then it's podcasts. And since I've moved to Las Vegas, I've been listening to a lot more country music. So when I'm driving back and forth, I listen to a lot more country. And I think like Luke Bryan is the main.
Okay.
He always, I don't know many of the artists. I just like hear the songs over and I can sing the songs, but I don't know who sings them. They always say like, this is Luke Bryan radio because it's 95.5 The Bowl. So that's my main station out here.
You see that desert, you get inspired,
I guess so. And like one of the girls here, like the girl that I stayed with while I was looking at how she's like, yeah, it's the vibe. Because I liked country before. Like I would listen to it here and there, but I'm like, now it's just my go-to when I'm in the car is country all the time.
Yeah. Local radio.
My sister lives out there in Vegas and it's, there's the Strip, obviously. But the Strip is just this thing that's there. But the entire community, it is a very country community. It's very kind of rural community style. It's but like you don't really see that side of Vegas. It's not it's the lights and the shows, and it's just kind of funny. Like I kind of had that shock last time I was down there, not partaking in like the city life. It's like, oh, this is like I would never even know I'm in Las Vegas, like where I'm at right now. It's just kind of a strange thing.
Yeah, it really is. And because the reason I came out to Vegas too is because my coach wanted to relocate because he was getting out of New York. And I'd only been once to Vegas when I was 16. And obviously it was the Strip. And I'm like, why do you want to go to Vegas? Like, that doesn't seem like it would be a good place to go open a gym and everything. And then like I said, one of his athletes lived here and has lived here. And Justin, my coach, ended up coming out to visit, and he's like, yeah, it's a lot different than just the Strip. Like there's a lot more to do. And that's what people had said. So it's like, okay, I'll trust it. Cause I actually didn't even come out to visit before I decided to move here. I just came out, stayed with a friend of Ryan's, for a little bit and then found a house and everything. So I was like, I'm kind of just trusting you that it's not just the Strip and that there's a lot more going on and other things to do. So like I said, I'm really glad I made the decision, but I thought it was the Strip until, I don't know, even like a couple months ago.
For sure.
So growing up in Ann Arbor, did you guys live like in town? Did you kind of live in the country outside of town?
Yeah, it was a little mix of both. It wasn't like growing up. It wasn't like downtown Ann Arbor where University of Michigan is, but it wasn't totally country. I mean, it was like a little neighborhood that was kind of offset. We had like half an acre of land in a subdivision. And then we had like a big field across the street. So it's kind of more in the city than like a farm per se, but it, like I said, wasn't anything like New York City or even like Ann Arbor, which is where I ended up living when I did go to college. So it was kind of a mix. Definitely, I guess I start off the most country that I have been in my entire life, because then I went to college and was in kind of a city. And then obviously New York is like the mecca of cities. And then now like kind of going backwards in that direction, which is nice though.
So what do your parents do? Like, what do your parents do for a living? Like, what do you grow up around, you know?
Yeah. So my dad is a fuel tank manager at Ford Motor Company. So he's worked for Ford longer than I've been alive. He's been there 32 years now, almost 32 years. And so he was the breadwinner for my family. He worked long hours. He worked very hard. He's very accomplished in Ford Motor Company. And I mean, speaking of cars, I just got a Mazda, which Ford owns. I wanted
I didn't know they owned that. I didn't know.
Yeah, luckily, because I wanted a Ford Focus, and I went to like look at cars. My dad's like, "Yeah, we stopped making those. If you want a car, then you have to get a Fusion or a Mustang." And I was like, "Well, Mustang would be cool, but and like a converter was cool, but I'm like, I don't think I would actually use it." And I'm like, with this heat, I definitely wouldn't use it.
Yeah,
I was like, maybe
you probably regretted that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got a Mazda, and then I was like, now the Bronco. I was like, now I'm like debating. I was like, I should have gotten a Bronco, or I should have like leased and like waited, but I didn't know like the Bronco would come out, because otherwise I probably would have ended up getting a Bronco, especially.
Yeah, those are way cool.
Yeah, and like his off-roading capabilities, and being in Vegas, and then so my mom got her degree in computer science, and she was actually working for General Motors when she met my dad, who was yeah, I know, but they met at a Valley Soul Fitness, so they met at a gym, so something like not related to cars at least. And my dad they met in Missouri, and my dad was being relocated to Michigan, and GM wanted my mom to move to California. And so my mom was like, so it basically came down to either I stayed and I worked and I went to California, or I stopped my job and went to Michigan with your dad. So she ended up choosing my dad, went to Michigan. And so she didn't have like a high level, but she like substitute taught. She worked as a lunch lady, like kind of doing what she could, but then also taking me, my brother, and my sister to our sports. Like I said, I was a high level gymnast. My brother did hockey. My sister started off in gymnastics, then did some field hockey and swimming. And so she was just busy driving us around and taking care of us, but she would do like whatever flexible jobs that she could to make a little extra money, because sports were expensive too. So my dad, like I said, Ford Motor Company, and my mom kind of whatever she could get her hands on.
Do you feel like that had like an influence on you? Like you said, your dad kind of worked long hours. Your mom was always kind of doing stuff also. And your parents met at a gym. You know, I kind of seen like a trend here, family situation with the gym going on there.
Yeah, right. Definitely. They're very athletic. And both my parents were college athletes as well. So I definitely think that helped set me up for what I do today. Just because my parents, fully support the athletic side of it. But I mean, like my dad was working long hours, but he was able to financially cover what I had to do. And like, he was always either at my gymnastics meets or my brother's hockey games. Like if we had things that were the same weekend, my dad would go with my brother and my mom would come with me. So even though they were extremely busy, they were and still are phenomenal parents. And they like always made time for me to go, like I said, drive me to gymnastics. Because when I was in high school, they had to drive an hour each way to go to the gym that I wanted to go to, because like there was one good gym. I mean, one great gym in Michigan. And if you wanted a Division I scholarship, you had to go to this gym. And we lived in Ann Arbor. The gym was in Lansing. And so my parents are like, if you truly want to go to University of Michigan, like you're going to have to go to this coach. And I mean, he was, I'm not going to say mean. He was kind of mean. He was intense. He ended up being a coach for the Olympic team back in 2016. So he was a phenomenal coach.
Yeah. And he was a winner.
My parents,
He's a winner.
He was a winner, and he knew what it took to win. Yeah, and everyone, like, when we would go to competitions, everyone would be like, okay, yeah, we know Twistars is going to win because that's just the reputation that they have. And so, like, I'm fortunate to have had parents that would drive and dedicate that kind of time to me, because I talked to many people and they're like, yeah, my parents wouldn't do that. They wouldn't even drive 20 minutes, let alone pay like $300 or $350 a month just for the training. So it was more than just the time. It was also a lot of money, and then travel and everything too. So they're busy. They, like I said, always made time for me. So I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without.
You kind of brushed past the fact that they both played college sports. What sports did your parents play?
Yeah, so my mom was a cross-country runner, and my dad was a baseball player.
Okay.
Oh, so cool. I don't get that running from my mom, that's for sure. She did cheerleading and stuff in high school too. But yeah, that running thing, definitely not my jam. And my dad would run 5 miles a day and whatever. I was like, yeah, I didn't get that running gene.
Yeah.
What would you consider your most memorable gymnastics either moment or moment of time? Would it be at the collegiate level or maybe at your younger years? What was like your favorite either period of time in gymnastics or even specifically one thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like we were talking, I was like trying to think of like all of the many amazing experiences that I had. But one stick out, and it was actually when I was 11 years old. It was level 7, and I won a national championship. And I won the championship on vault, floor, and then all around. And like my whole family being there. Yeah, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister. It was in Florida. And I still remember like a lot of the meets. I don't remember like going and getting my awards and stuff. I still remember like what the hotel looked like, and the hotel and the venue and where everything was like set up. And just, it was my first national championship at 11 years old, which is, incredible, especially now that I
that's awesome.
Look back at it. I was like, that's so cool. So that's definitely something that stuck out to me. And I think, what was one of the things that kept me in the sport for so long, just being successful at a young age and continuing to push.
Bottling up all that positive, feelings and energy from that experience helped you just to keep it going, keep it rolling.
Yeah, definitely. Like when I was like 8 and 9, I went through kind of like a rough, I wouldn't say patch. So for people that don't know, you peak at 16. And I was very, very talented. Like I said, my parents were very athletic. So obviously I get some good genetics from them. And so like at the age of 9, like you basically have to decide if you're going to go like the Olympic route or the college route. And they are very two different paths. So for Olympics, for like Olympics, you're training 30 hours a week. For like the college, you're training 20 to 25 hours a week. And I tried to do a little bit of elite, the Olympic type training. And I went to Texas actually and trained with Dominique Luciano, who was an Olympian in 1996 for her father. And it was just like super intense. And I went home and like cried to my parents, like, I don't want to do this. They're like, okay, well, we know you don't want to do that there. And then even like I went back to Michigan and like I was burned out for like a little while, like trying to do that Olympic route. And so my parents ended up changing coaches because I needed somebody that was a little more loving to like refine my love for this sport. So then like about 2 years after that is when I like ended up winning the national championship. And then I feel like I was like pretty much like sold on it for a while and then continued to excel, which obviously made me stick with it.
That's really interesting. Especially, 9 years old, like that's still so young, right? Like it totally makes sense. People could burn out or if you don't have the right environment or that the tough love is, some people thrive off that, but some, especially at certain ages, that's tough, and if you're away from home and everything,
Yeah, no, definitely. But like I said, it's crazy in gymnastics. It's like 16 is, for me, I think it was 17 that I like reached my max, but some are 15, some are 18, like everyone's a little bit different, but in gymnastics, so young. And so if you are going to go to the Olympics, you're going to make it there when you're like 15, 16 years old. So you have to start training for that at such a young age. Like it's insane.
So when kind of changing gears here. So a while ago, there was the Grid League. And were you were on a grid league team, right?
Yeah, I was on the Boston Iron for a little while.
Okay. And so did you like that, the team aspect of things? And I guess kind of what I'm getting around to is, like, would you ever consider going team at the games, or do you kind of prefer the individual side of things more, kind of from that gymnastics background? You know, it's like a team, but it's an individual sport within a team setting, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I really did enjoy the team aspect of it. And honestly, like, I get more nervous for team events than individual, because, you know, when you're on a team, like, everybody's relying on you to do your job. And when you're individual, obviously you put your expectations very high. You're like, well, if it doesn't work out, it's on me. It's not on anybody else. But I think just the training is more fun too when you are with a team. And that's sometimes, like, being individual, it is hard day in, day out, like going and pushing yourself by yourself. Luckily, like, here I have a couple training partners. In New York, I had a few, like, here and there, especially when I started, I did. And then recently I haven't. So I think, like, the team aspect training is so much more fun when you're with other people, and I would not be opposed to it. I think just like right now, when I know I'm still, like, getting there, I wouldn't do team. But, like, I don't know, when I feel I want to change, or if I'm just mentally burnt out from doing it by myself, I want a team, I definitely wouldn't be opposed to it. And I think it would actually be a lot of fun.
Do you, why, it's kind of a funny way to phrase, but why aren't you better? Right? Like, what will it take? What would it take for you to be better? Right? Because I mean, that's always the goal in everything you do. You're trying to be better, right? And so I'm sure you have time. So, like, what are you working on? What are your goals? How are you right now working to get better?
I love that. Just be better. Why aren't you better? Come on, let's go. I think it's a good question, because we're all striving for perfection, and, you know, to beat Tia Claire Toomey, who's just phenomenal. So right now, the biggest thing for me is leg strength and that darn squat clean. So that's something that we've really been focusing on. I just started working with a new weightlifting coach back in December. And so he's very, like, position oriented. And before, he's just like, your positions are not where they should be. Like, yeah, you're strong, decently strong. You can always get stronger, especially with my front squat. But he's like, your positions and your lifting are not good. So we need to work on that. So we've just been doing a lot of pulls, a lot of pause work from the blocks. Because, I mean, snatches are decent for me, but they can always get better. But the clean is the main thing. Clean, and like I said, just building up the leg strength in the front squat. So we put a lot of time into that. And yesterday, when I did my clean, my coach said it was super gorgeous. I was like, I'm retiring. That's it. You said it was super gorgeous.
This could be my last clean, and I'll be happy.
Definitely. Because I was like, I hit 220. My max is 225. And I was like, should I go for more? And he's like, let's slowly build up. And I was like, I'm just going to end on that, like, end on a positive note for the day. And then when I sent it to him and he was like, it was super gorgeous, I was like, whoa. So I was like, maybe I should retire. I don't know.
Yeah. There's something about pause clean work that is just absolutely horrible. Pause snatching, you know, it's never that bad. But if you're doing some serious, you know, high percentile pause clean work, it's just a different animal of difficulty and just mental and physical strength to just get through those reps.
Yeah, definitely. Because sometimes you're like pausing, you're like, feel like my body's shaking. You gotta, and I think it's because it's a little harder too than like snatches. And it's just like waves just like pulling you down. You're like holding it, and you're like shaking. And you're like, my hamstrings are right now. My back wants to like cave in, but it's like, no, hold it. It'll be worth it. You're like, and then you like can't breathe, and you're just like, like you said, there's so many things going on.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, but at least it's nice seeing when the work, like, finally starts to pay off.
Yeah,
for sure.
A few more things. Go ahead.
Oh no, I say that's one thing that I'm working on. And then also, like I mentioned earlier, running is another thing that I have to get better at. We've been doing a lot more running. I had an Achilles injury, from the Open in October. So that hindered my running for a little while, but been working on that more too, just because the games always have a lot of running. So, and I feel like that's just something that helps with overall fitness.
So while we're on kind of awkward questions like why aren't you better? The next one is what's your biggest failure? Like what would you say your biggest failure is? And then how did you kind of overcome that or get past it?
That's a really good question. My biggest failure. Well, I'm just thinking of like injury because I had a really stupid injury. So I ended up bulging a disc. I mean, I don't know if it's like directly from doing this or not. But I had a bulged disc in my back. So when I started, I actually did weightlifting right after college. And I was doing some lifting and then I had some back pain and found out it ended up being a bulged disc. I'm like, yeah, it could have been from gymnastics. But also that guy that I said that I moved to New York with, one day we were just in the gym working out because I did a little bit of like physique training as well. And we were just doing back extensions and he's like, okay, let's go. And then he's like, let's do 50. Oh, you got to get 75, go to 100. And I got to like around 70, 75. And I was like, man, my back really hurt. He's like, you're almost there. Keep going. I was like, no, like my back really hurt. And he's like, no, like keep going. So I ended up doing 100. And after that, like my back wasn't the same for a little while. And I like tried lifting and tried like working out with it. And I remember one day doing step ups with 15 pound dumbbells. And I was like, I can't do this. So I had to go to the doctor and then they said it was a bulge disc in my back. So I had to take 6 months off of any sort of squatting. And like I said, I had just done a weightlifting meet like long before that. And I was like, okay, well, I guess lifting is going to be out of the picture for a bit. And so that was obviously a very frustrating injury, but from that, like I ended up switching gears and did like some physique training and did my leg extensions and leg curls. So I don't know if it's like necessarily a failure, but it's definitely like something stupid that I did that you learn from like, not being put under like falling for peer pressure, I guess.
Yeah. Start doing less back extensions and new boyfriend, and then you're good to go.
So it's like, listening to your body and not taking the steps back, preventing, it could have been avoided and it kind of set you back. Like you said, you felt it set you back, even 6 months. I mean, that's a long time to be recovering from something, silly, like that, which is just a bummer, like to get through that 6 months just mentally and trying to stay physically sound is just tough.
Especially when you're like, life is working out. Like, you love working out.
Yeah. And it's your kind of like, it is 100% your job.
Yeah.
Right.
So then the flip side of that is what are you most proud of everything you've done to this point? All the gymnastics, championships, the CrossFit Games, appearances, the fittest woman in America. I think you got fifth at the CrossFit Games. Is that your highest placing, fifth?
Yeah.
And so
I've done fifth twice.
Out of kind of everything you've done, what are you, or maybe it's not even athletic, I don't know. Just like, what are you most proud of to this point in your life?
Yeah. I mean, I guess just like, as you say that, I think just like the thing that comes to my mind is just like my work ethic. And like what I'm proud of is like, no matter what I do, I know I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And that I've just like been successful in whatever I've done. And I mean, it's easy for me to say athletics because, that's what stands out to everyone. Because I was multiple national champion in gymnastics. I went to a Division I school, 4-time Big Ten champion. And then I was also 3-time academic, all Big Ten. And then, now successful in CrossFit. So I think, all of the accomplishments obviously are amazing, but I think it's more just like, I'm just proud of the person that I am and knowing like whatever I do, that I'm going to do it to the best of my ability and not, I guess, fall short of success. Even like my Powerapps program too, is like, I'm going to give it my best. Like, and it's been super successful. And then CrossFit, like the highlight so far, if I have to choose one like from CrossFit, like just the exact moment, is becoming the fittest American female, my second year of CrossFit. So back in 2016, it was my second year of doing and competing in CrossFit, and I was the fittest American female. And I think that's something that is always going to like have a special place in my heart. So I remember crying to my coach when I saw like my name at fifth, and then it was like the top American flag, and I was just like, I just like stared at it and just like started crying. I was like, I can't believe that happened. So
no, that's huge. And like you said, it all comes rooted down to that work ethic that you've done your whole life that you're most proud of. And without that, none of these things would have happened. it's just, it's a good one.
Thank you.
So where can people learn more? They're interested. They said, man, that work ethic sounds great. I want good abs. I want to learn how to learn more about Kari and kind of what she's doing with the CrossFit games and that whole situation. So where can people learn more about you? What's the best way?
Yeah, there's two main places that I say. I have a website, just my name, KariPearce.com. So that'll have just a little background information on me, a little bit of information about kind of my life, there's some pictures and stuff. And then my abs programs are up there as well. And then the other one is my Instagram, which is Kari Pearce, my name, and then CrossFit.
Awesome. Well, Kari, thanks so much. Dean, you got anything else? Are you good too?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you so much for, making the time today to talk to us. This has been really, really fun.
Of course. It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk to you, Kari. So have a wonderful day. Enjoy Las Vegas swimming pools, and tell the guy turn on the gas that I said what's up.
Okay, will do. I'll be like, you don't want him to come and mess with you.
Yeah.
Gotta get my hot water.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Strong arm him.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Bye, Kari. Thanks again.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.